I think we could see a PG version of that, and maybe they go a little above and beyond, and we have another flaming table moment. It hasn't been done in a long time, but I think if they're really going to make a mark, and if this is the main event of WrestleMania, of the whole thing, they should do something like that.
Let's talk that talk, y'all. Hypocritical Nick.
Okay.
Get rid of TikTokers for life. And the Tiger King series, okay, I need you guys to go read a damn book. Please, I'm begging you to read a book and to contribute to society in the right way, okay? Get off your TikTok, please.
I'll say this. I want to start the podcast by thanking everybody that watched our last video. It's getting great views, a lot of comments on Facebook. So anybody that's watching this next video that watched the first one, we thank you sincerely for contributing. We know a lot of you are bored, and it's the reason we're doing these podcasts right now, to provide you some entertainment here in this extremely boring time. Also want to give a shout out to the RKJ Man's blood. His brother Donald's birthday is today as we are recording, so I want to give a shout out to him. And I want to give a shout out to WrestleMania, because although it's not promoted that well and it's going to be kind of a weird show, after some of the promos I watched on Monday Night Raw, I am a bit more excited than I was last podcast. And I do want to make this podcast a bit more positive if we can, and try to find the positives of WrestleMania while also looking at some of the negatives still. But I think after our last podcast, we were so negative. Jesse, you weren't able to join us, but you would have provided enough positivity. With all three of us, we were just hating on everything, bro.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, so I want to try to bring some positivity. But again, thank you for everybody. If you did like our video last time, if you did watch it, whether you watched 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, the whole thing, subscribe, like, and comment, the usual. And yeah, let's get going. So this is going to be pretty much our WrestleMania preview show. We are going to dive into a little bit of AEW Dynamite because they made a strange booking decision this week. But yeah, so, I mean, how do we want to start with this WrestleMania preview? There's obviously 2 nights. Do we know what matches are on each night yet, or is that still unknown?
I think it's still unknown, to be honest.
This is such a weird WrestleMania. And it's so strange, too, because we were actually at WrestleMania last year. It was so much different. You literally could not have a more different scenario here for the Ring Generals, because we attended WrestleMania 35 at MetLife Stadium, and it was so different. A lot of the outcomes were very favorable. A lot of people were very excited going into that WrestleMania, and it's not almost, but a complete opposite this year. But so I'll ask you this, and anybody can answer this first. What did you guys think about the promos that are being seen as a success that happened on Raw? Did they get you excited like they did me for WrestleMania at all, or was it more of just kind of the same stuff? Who wants to answer first? I don't care.
Well, the promo that Taker did, I thought there was a lot of shades of American Badass and Big Evil on that promo, which I find very really cool, to be honest, because now it's just it's out there, because we've seen Undertaker and Mark Calloway out in public. We've had this gimmick before in the past, so this is no different, and this is a way for Mark Calloway or Undertaker to be like, you know what, since there's no fans around, so I'm just gonna wear whatever I want and do whatever, say whatever I want. So, and plus he's done it all, so there's no need for him to have this mystique of the aura of the Undertaker anymore. It's thrown out the window. If you want to check out the network for that. So that promo is pretty cool. So it should get me a little bit excited for him and AJ. I still don't know what the Boneyard match is about. Nobody really described what it looks like or has never been done before. So the other things for Lynch and Baszler, it looks like Baszler is doing the best she could to be that heel, which is, I'm just trying to look at it as just a fan's perspective and seeing how Lynch versus Baszler, I didn't really give it as much of a chance as I thought. So I think these past few nights, just seeing Baszler and Becky Lynch going at it, it's actually getting a little bit more heated than I thought. The promos, like I praise more the promos than some of the matches itself. Randy Orton, Edge. You saw that promo with Edge last night. I thought that was really good. It was a way for him to backfire Randy Orton for what he said, that he's a junkie. Adam Copeland is a junkie for Edge. And, hey, it's true. Edge, let's face it, a lot of these wrestlers, we're all junkies. I mean, we're all junkies for our gimmicks, like, because we lived through this. You know, there's nothing like going out there in front of millions of people, even watching at home, and having the pyro and having the music being blown in. And it was a cool way how Edge backfired and told Randy Orton about what he's going to do to him at WrestleMania. So I'm more curious and a little bit like, it actually makes me feel excited for Edge and Randy Orton, because when it comes to those two guys, they know how to get the job done when it comes on the promos. Other than that, with Roman Reigns and Goldberg, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. We definitely will.
Roman Reigns are still promoting it. Don't know who the opponent is for Goldberg, apparently. So I've yet to know what's going on with that. Yeah, I think other than that, the other matches, I kind of wish that they could have been having more steam with this match. It's Black and Lashley, but simply they've been putting Black in some of these matches, and it's just like these warm-up matches, so there's like no feud whatsoever. It's just another match on the card, apparently. But looking at the WrestleMania, as far as I know, I'm only excited for like about 4 matches, I guess. 4.
Well, yeah, we'll get to WrestleMania predictions.
We'll talk
about that in a second. I do want to get Jesse and Ryan's take on Raw's. Did the go home show do anything for you guys? Obviously, a lack of kind of matches. I believe there was only 1, or maybe there's 2 matches. No, 3. 3 but a squash match in the middle of there. But so what did you guys think of the go home show?
Ryan?
Nah, Jesse, go ahead.
I mean, to be honest, there wasn't much of a. I didn't put too much into it. I didn't really pay attention, to be honest. But the promos is still somewhat the same. Still, there's nothing fresh, nothing new. I can't gain anything else other than that, based off of my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So it didn't do anything for you at all? You just kind of are still a little sour on the whole thing?
Yeah.
It's interesting. RKJ?
So, yeah, to be positive, yeah, the promos were fantastic last night, especially the Paul Heyman promo at the very end. Oof. It was phenomenal. But Paul Heyman always delivers. We already know what Paul Heyman can do and has done in the past. All the promos are great. And I think, I've seen people allude to this, the fact that, having an empty arena has given them the ability to put more emphasis on their words and their ability to talk and speak and to emphasize certain things in regards to their matchup that probably wouldn't be done in front of a crowd of idiots who are drunk screaming what all the time. So, I think that's great. However, as the saying goes, if you put makeup on a pig, it's still a pig. And when I see Roman Reigns versus Goldberg being advertised, it just makes my blood boil. Especially seeing the fact that, Roman Reigns came out yesterday on social media and basically said, hey, I'm pulling out of the matchup. So from my standpoint, if these things are already taped, you have enough time with social media and all the age of technology, especially being how important it is right now with everybody in their houses doing nothing, being quarantined, for the announcers to do something really quickly on their phone, send it up to the editing at WWE headquarters, wherever it's at, and to get something edited so we could do something to make up for the fact that Roman Reigns and Goldberg ain't happening. But instead, nothing has been done. And I pray to God they do not keep promoting this on Friday, but I think they will. So that's a big problem for me. And regardless of how great the promos were last night, which they were, the only hope for WrestleMania is if they absolutely positively pull out some surprises we do not expect. And if they make these matches that we absolutely are about to crap on more better than what we think they're going to be. And I like the fact that they're going to go for a cinematic road, though. One thing I do like is going for a cinematic road. It allows them time to edit, make it seem like a movie type of version instead of an actual match. Maybe that will get us involved a little bit more. And the timing seems a little bit better. It's only supposed to be 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
In previous years, it's been 5, 6, 7 hours. And I cannot.
For one night, too. One night.
I cannot watch 7 hours of WrestleMania. So, look, there's positives and negatives going into this, but in my opinion, we're still putting the safety and health of the performers at risk just for a little green. And to me, the negatives outweigh the positives.
Well, technically, those risks have already been posed because WrestleMania is taped. I don't know if it's been taped in the past. I don't believe so. But, due to the whole coronavirus pandemic, it was going to be really hard with the state of Florida kind of going into semi-lockdown for them to keep recording the shows based on the dates they were promoted. And it doesn't matter because there wasn't going to be fans. So you weren't affecting ticket sales or anything like that. Real quick again, I personally, after every single promo where there was a segment or something happened, I got a little bit more excited. I have a feeling, I don't know what they're going to do with Brock and Drew because I don't know if they want to give Drew his moment in front of anybody. I could see him losing. I could see him winning. After I watched Shayna and Becky lately has been kind of going back to her old self, the Becky that we cheered on at WrestleMania 35, the Becky that got punched by Nia Jax last year straight in the face, So that excited me a little bit. And Shayna Baszler showing kind of her brutality. It's a little preview of what that match is going to be. You look at you look at Edge. I mean, Edge and Randy Orton, some of the best promos in the game today, maybe if not the best. 2 promo guys in the game. And so that's exciting. And then The Undertaker kind of pulling back the curtain for one of the first times ever in his career. I'm sure because that match is likely going to be filmed with editing and a lack of botches, it should be pretty good. So I came out of this completely positive, and I'm a little bit more excited about WrestleMania, unless I got to pay $60 to the Fox Sports app. Then they can fuck off.
Well, the good news is this. They are still promoting on the network. You can get WrestleMania for free.
Yes.
If you're a new subscriber, which I don't understand why you would make a deal with Fox Sports app. I guess they're going to put – can you look this up, Nick? I guess they're going to put some content on Fox Sports app, too, that you can get.
Yeah, it's 22 hours of content, including multiple WrestleManias, WWE Backstage. I believe they're showing a couple WWE 24s, maybe even the Ruthless Aggression show that they've been showing on the network. So there's a lot of content. It's kind of it's like a build up to WrestleMania, and then obviously they're going to show WrestleMania. So I believe this will be happening Thursday or Friday. It kind of has to be because by the time you're watching this, it'll be Wednesday. So this stuff will have to be happening, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, essentially, because WrestleMania is on Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, so what's up?
You remember when I said that there's somebody higher than Vince who is calling for him to keep this WrestleMania going? It has to be Fox and ESPN.
It might be, yeah. Actually, with this recent unexpected announcement somewhat, it does kind of point to the fact that, yeah, maybe Fox got in their ear and said, hey, figure out some way, just put it on, And
now they can get some money from it.
Again, we shit on it last week. We don't need to really do it again. If it's Fox, then a little bit less goes on Vince McMahon, I guess. But I don't think we're really going to find that out. So
there's enough negativity in this world, so we don't need it anymore.
That's true. We're going to try to be positive on this show, guys. We're not going to talk about John Jones getting arrested. We're not going to. Okay.
Well, let's just say this: the man needs help. To be honest,
and that's again why we're not going to talk about it. We will likely talk about that next week on some form of a UFC show that would look exactly like you're watching right now. There's no what our podcast is turned into is the WWE Performance Center. Every background is going to look the same. We're just going to provide different content for you and talk about different topics.
Kind of makes me wonder if the WrestleMania stage for the Performance Center, are they going to add anything?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Anything new, or what's going on? Or are we going to be seeing the same old, from Raw and SmackDown and NXT?
Well, they're gonna have to spice things up, to be honest. If it's the WrestleMania event, they have to spice things up, man. They can't go anything dull. I mean, they have to put some major intros, some fireworks going on.
It's kind of hard. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do that when it's such a confined space and it's such a small space.
Players, okay?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Again, if something went wrong, we would have heard about it. So nothing went wrong, right? So at least we know the building's going to still be standing after WrestleMania. At least we know that's one guarantee we know about this WrestleMania, and that there will likely be no fans. Although you never know. They might have just said, hey, 60 people from Florida come in. I don't care about the loss. You never know with WWE these days. But okay, so getting back to kind of the WrestleMania card itself, we talked about it a little bit. We still have Friday Night SmackDown to go, but I think it'll be more of the same. Lots more promos. And, we're just kind of expecting. I guess we will find out what's going on with Goldberg and Roman Reigns. But I think we know that more than likely Goldberg probably takes that title back now, considering that Roman's not fighting him. I can't imagine them giving it to somebody else. Or what do you guys think? We can just kind of start. This is one of the matches we were going to talk about. What do you guys think is going to happen with that scenario now that Roman Reigns has officially confirmed himself he's not going to be at WrestleMania?
Well, I mean, if the rumors are true, if they added in Braun Strowman to go up against Goldberg, then they're going to keep the title on Goldberg, because Braun Strowman isn't really the kind of guy who is credible at the moment to win the championship, because he hasn't really done anything to deserve it and hasn't had somewhat of a issue with Goldberg or Roman lately. So it wouldn't be fair to give it to Braun. I think the match, it would probably last for about maybe a couple minutes, and then Goldberg would win the match. Safe approach for Goldberg, no matter how people are looking at it, saying that he didn't deserve the championship. So yeah, I mean, I think Goldberg still comes out on top, and until Roman Reigns gets back, and Roman Reigns will beat him cleanly, or just the fair way, the traditional way, I guess.
Yeah. Jesse, what do you think?
That's all I was going to say. But in this way, I think they're going to give it to Braun Strowman. Give it, and then give the Goldberg that, I guess, another send-off. If not, give him a rematch with another opponent. I mean, that's what I think.
Interesting. So you think they set it up for Roman Reigns after? Is it a way maybe of not burying Goldberg? And what are your thoughts on that? I actually want to get your thought. Why do you think Braun Strowman's going to win? Why do you think that's the right decision?
Well, the thing is, he had the title match against Brock, right? And we all know that was kind of botched. And so after that, I think this is a way of making it up to him. And, since the first time around it didn't go, I guess, so well as for to be as expected, be hyped up and everything, it just fell to shit,
Yeah.
And this time around, hopefully, it'll be much better, cleaner, and nothing controversial will go on after that. But I mean, I'll stick to my opinion. I said Braun Strowman will take the title, and that's.
Ooh. All right. RKJ, what do you think? What do you think about Eric and Jesse's differing opinions on this?
I hate Braun Strowman. That's what I think. I think he sucks. Okay? Like I said before, he is the millennial Big Show. He adds no value to anything.
Too many times, man.
He's this generation's Goldberg, and he sucks. And unfortunately, he's going to get put in this matchup against Goldberg. And unfortunately, you know what, Eric, I agree with you. Goldberg should win the title. But then that creates a loophole, because then you have Goldberg with the title. How many months are we going to be in this pandemic? How long are we going to wait for it to get taken off? Who's going to be the best bet? Who's going to be the best bet to take it off Goldberg? I've heard this theory. Okay, so I'm going to give credit to where credit is due to this person. Okay. Somebody by the name of JD from New York made this statement, and I agree with him. It should be Bray Wyatt versus John Cena in a number one contenders match on Saturday night. On Sunday night, whoever wins that matchup goes up against Goldberg for the Universal Championship in the pseudo main event. Okay, and the reason why I think it happens is, number one, okay, John Cena going against Goldberg. It's an iconic match that honestly was getting planned in the first place. Number two, Bray Wyatt. He has a chance to redeem himself. You can redeem the Fiend character once more again by having him beat Goldberg again. So we could just forget about the Saudi Arabia situation. It's a great scenario, and I totally agree with that situation. So that's the way I would go for this type of matchup. But do I think it's going to be Braun Strowman and Goldberg? Yes. And if I was booking it, I would put Goldberg over, because I just don't think Braun Strowman's ready to hold the title.
Yeah, I did see that by JD from New York. I know exactly what you're talking about with that. I've also seen two other theories. The Braun Strowman one has been the biggest kind of fire in this whole thing. I think about it was a betting man. I would bet that. I've also heard Matt Riddle And so I don't think it's the right time to do that. But you potentially could have a weird, strong audience for this thing, considering that there's just not a lot of people doing anything right now. So maybe it's a way of introducing Matt Riddle. I'm just throwing out a scenario here as the last person to speak on the issue. But yeah, I would go with I would just keep it on Goldberg. I think Roman. What I have a feeling is going to happen is WWE is going to go on hiatus after this. I think they're going to be forced to. I think there's not going to be anything they're going to be able to do about it.
Yeah.
And I just think that. What's up? What do you say, Jesse?
So eventually it's bound to happen.
I expected AEW to do it too, but it seems like they're kind of planning for the next couple of weeks, and they have been putting on a better production, so maybe that's a reason why they're going to keep going. But
Nick, real quickly. So you say Matt Riddle will be a good situation.
Didn't say it was a good situation. I said it was a rumor that was going for the match.
Okay.
I actually don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea because Vince allegedly does not understand or get Matt Riddle. Yep. None of those corporate America old guys in the WWE understand what's going on with Matt Riddle.
Bruce?
It could be. Allegedly, it could be. We don't know who it could be, but I think Matt Riddle needs the proper build and the proper time. Just throwing him up against a match against Goldberg, it just doesn't make any sense. And if he loses, then there goes his credibility. I'm totally against bringing in an NXT star to face Goldberg because people wouldn't know them as well. And if they lose, their credibility is lost. So then if you try to bring them up again, it's like, oh, that guy got beat by Goldberg. I really don't care about him anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way to do it.
No, and I do agree with Eric that it is talking about Braun Strowman not deserving it. I mean, the man lost at Elimination Chamber to Sami Zayn. I mean, I know it was a 3-on-1 match, but he lost to Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. So technically, if Braun Strowman beats Goldberg, Sami Zayn is the top champion on SmackDown. That's essentially what you'd be doing. So to create that awkwardness, I don't think that's a good idea. And that's at least my reasoning behind Braun Strowman. If he is the guy to win or is the guy to face Goldberg, it's a terrible idea to have him win. Jesse, I have to disagree with you on that one. But if it's The Fiend or John Cena, I think you have to give it to The Fiend, and I think you cannot give John Cena his 17th title that way.
In front of no crowd? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it. So if it's The Fiend, you give it to The Fiend, and I actually like the idea because the whole Fiend title run has been so weird and strange, and so it would just kind of catapult the whole thing if he won it with no fan, So, and you can cinematically do something. You could have Bray Wyatt choke Goldberg out and do it with the lights off and stuff like that. So, I do like the idea. And maybe JD has some sources that we don't know about because it has happened. WrestleMania has happened. So any of these reports that come out, I'm going to put a little bit more sauce on because people literally know what happened. So maybe they're giving us a little, so we'll just see. All right, moving on. We talked about John Cena and The Fiend. So RKJ, do you believe that they'll do number one contender? Is that what you actually believe will happen? Or do you think they'll just have their match and likely the Fiend wins?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're gonna do a number one contenders.
Oh, awesome!
I think people are saying it's Braun Strowman are getting wrong information, or they're trying to piggyback off the fact that this John Cena matchup is going to be really what's going on.
Yeah. Eric, what do you think?
Probably be the reasonable thing to do. Good way to bring back the Fiend Bray Wyatt to get back his title. John Cena can't win the championship, obviously, because after this, I think he's just going to go on a hiatus as well. So same thing. Yeah, I really think that might be a number one contender spot. Hopefully, if that's the case, in order to sort of get rid of the fact that the whole Roman Reigns and Goldberg promotion is out of the window and just move on and sort of take our eyes away from the fact that they're promoting the match, and then have Strowman and Goldberg go at it. And then if Goldberg wins, obviously that can make room, hopefully, potentially Bray Wyatt to win back the championship. and redeem himself and become again champion.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the good thing to do. Jesse, do you agree with either man with what's going to happen?
I agree with Eric.
Yeah. You think so? You think the Fiend just wins and kind of redeems himself after WrestleMania 30?
Yeah, because so when he lost to Goldberg and that kind of little like weird suplex, I don't know what the hell it was. He has to be redeemed after that. Come on.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's called being sandbagging the man.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. He sandbagged the man.
Ric Flair was notorious for doing it too. So, I mean, I think the Fiend should win. John Cena is a selfless man, and he will not put himself over in front of no fans. That makes no sense. Maybe with fans, there's a reason if there's a number one contenders thing here at stake. But I think regardless, number one contenders or Firefly Funhouse match just stays the same. The Fiend has to win. And I think he needs to win every single WrestleMania match he's in, whether he's in one or whether he's in two, because he should be the top star on Friday Night SmackDown. That's just my opinion. And with Roman likely be out for months, you got to move on. Roman would have been the top guy, and that's fine. Fans have kind of loosened on him a little bit. It's not as bad as it used to be. He's established himself somewhat, and he has not faced the Fiend yet, so he's not, all that stuff. But I think the Fiend is the number one guy on SmackDown. If Goldberg isn't the title holder, I think it has to be the Fiend. You can't put another part-timer in John Cena. It'd be ridiculous. Okay, moving on. Let's go. Let's see which match we should move to. Let's go to Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. We talked about the promo. Okay. Jesse, I'll give you the first take on this. What do you think happens? Raw Women's Championship, Baszler versus Lynch.
A little spicy right now. Mm-hmm. No, I mean they're doing a pretty good job with the promos right now as recently, and since there's going to be no audience, so of course they're going to have to sell even more. Yeah. They're going to have to invest in it more than as usual, and then so I mean I'm hoping it's going to turn out a pretty great event. To be honest, I think it is.
Who do you think wins the match though?
I say Becky Lynch.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Beats Rousey and Shayna Baszler, does establish her the thing.
I mean, she beat like half of the four horsemen or four horsewomen.
Yeah.
So she's gonna have to go through the other half.
You got RKJ. What do you think happened?
I'm really torn on this match because on one side of the scales, I think it's time for Becky to give up that title. I think she's had that title for way too long now. And there's been no competition in her division, so it makes sense. But I thought Baszler would be the perfect foil to her. Plus, it kind of continues the Ronda Rousey thing, so you can kind of come back to it later. But on the other side of the scales, I don't know if Baszler's ready yet, too. Like, even before this pandemic went down, when the crowd wasn't really reacting to Baszler, and then you had rumors that Vince wasn't really high on Shayna, wasn't really impressed with her matchup at Survivor Series, was kind of unhappy with her road to WrestleMania run, how the crowd was responding with her, certain things like that. And then you got to think maybe Vince McMahon is thinking he made a mistake here. As a matter of fact, I think Shayna has benefited more from not having a crowd. She's one of the performers who's benefited because it's more serious when she's attacking her with nobody around. That being said, in terms of this matchup, I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler. I think Vince McMahon is going to put the title on Shayna Baszler, in this case to say, prove to me that you're the number one woman on the roster. Prove to me that you can be the top dog on Raw. If you can't prove it, I'm going to give it right back to Becky Lynch, who we know can run with it, who we know is going to sell a lot of merchandise, who's going to get us ratings. She's proven to get ratings for Monday Night Raw. That's what Becky Lynch is doing. So if Shayna Baszler completely flops with the title, then I think it's going to get quickly taken back by Becky Lynch. But I'm going with Baszler in this WrestleMania match.
Eric, break the seal. Who do you think wins?
As much as I am behind Baszler and proved that she can fight and wrestle and can be a complete heel, actually go on Twitter and make people want to even dislike her even more. As much as I love that, but the way how they've been treating each other throughout these past few weeks making Becky Lynch pretty much look good in a way. No matter how bad and how sneaky Baszler has been doing by choking her out, backstage, or doing it in front of, in the ring with no crowd, or just completely decimating Becky Lynch in certain areas, and just seeing how this match is going forward. I would have favored Baszler, but just by seeing how this storyline is going, it seems to me that Becky Lynch is going to win this one. I am behind Baszler, but just the outcome is going to be Becky Lynch winning the match, just by how the storyline is going into this match, into this WrestleMania match. So, yeah, Becky Lynch is going to keep that title, and maybe another scenario can play out at the end. Ronda Rousey makes her return and sides with Baszler, and that can make some sort of an alliance and a way for Baszler and Ronda Rousey to have some sort of credibility to that alliance, and that way Becky Lynch has her feud resuming to Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. I love that you put that at the end, because for some reason, because of all this pandemic and all the weird programming that wrestling's been showing, you completely forget about Ronda Rousey, right? I think the most of Ronda Rousey I've seen is in these old UFC things they've been showing on ESPN and stuff, or on YouTube, right? So
at WWE headquarters. I heard she was at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut.
Very interesting.
Somebody, I forgot who was the MMA fighter, said he took a picture with her at headquarters, and the WWE wasn't too happy about the fact that he leaked that information out. So who knows what could be happening WrestleMania time?
Yeah,
that wasn't Frank Mir, because Frank Mir has been wrestling as of late.
Yeah, it could be Cain Velasquez too.
Josh Barnett maybe too.
Oh,
I think it was Cain Velasquez, Jesse.
I think no. I know what you're talking about. Cain Velasquez was with Ronda Rousey at headquarters. I don't know who broke the news though. So
didn't he take a picture, like a picture, and put it up on his social media?
Yeah.
Did he? Okay, so I guess that is what it is. Well, regardless, Ronda Rousey has been talking to WWE again, which is something that we hadn't heard recently. So with me, again, I'm like RKJ. I'm very torn. I actually love, and the reason I gave you guys the floor first was I wanted you guys to tell me something interesting, right? I wanted you guys to give away kind of some answers for me, so I could come up with a review, because I had no idea what the hell was going to happen in this match. Eric, I love your idea, and I think with your idea, any outcome is okay. Because I think if Shayna Baszler wins the match and Ronda Rousey comes out, you could have this alliance, right? But I actually do like the idea better of Becky Lynch winning the title, maybe via roll-up like she did Ronda Rousey, and then Ronda Rousey joining up with Shayna Baszler, with Marina Shafir, and I cannot remember the other girl's name, but all the 4 horsewomen, not Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, and Becky, but the other 4 horsewomen, and setting up for a future feud and likely the loss eventually of Becky Lynch's title. If there's anything we know about factions, eventually they get their way. So if that does happen, Becky Lynch can still win at this WrestleMania for the ultimate payoff to happen at SummerSlam or whenever, Survivor Series, whenever that's supposed to happen. So I do like the idea. I do think Becky Lynch wins the match only because this event is happening in front of no fans. I do think Baszler would have been the better choice, but I think they'll put the belt on Becky for now, considering that wrestling is just in a weird position right now.
I will say this, though, with this Ronda Rousey thing, with her wanting to have a kid and whatnot, it just still leaves me thinking, I don't know what her position is on wrestling right now. I have no clue what she's thinking about right now. And I don't know if she wants to go down to Orlando, Florida right now with this whole pandemic going down anyway. So that's why I said it would be great to have Ronda Rousey. I want to have Ronda Rousey. But she's expressed already that she was already before the pandemic kind of a little bit iffy about wrestling because of taking bumps and then wanting to try to have a family. Now you have taken bumps and then you got a pandemic going around. Seems like a stressful situation. So that's why I'm saying this matchup will happen regularly. But I think putting it in Shayna Baszler's opportunity in her hands is a good situation. Yeah. And if she fails with it, then, you got to give it back to Becky. It just makes common sense.
Yeah, no, very interesting. I love all those opinions, and you guys gave me some guidance on that one, so that's good. All right, so let's move to this interesting match: Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Who do we think wins this match? We don't really need to analyze this as much because I don't think it has as much steam. I think it was a way of changing up the Royal Rumble winners kind of choice on a title and being interesting. I personally think Rhea Ripley has to win this match, because I think you completely devalue the NXT Women's Championship if Charlotte wins and takes the minor league title. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I see Rhea Ripley winning this, and I don't think there's any other way you can go with this.
I disagree with you saying it's a minor league title. They have Charlotte Flair fighting for it, so they're trying to make it major. All right, they're trying to make it on the par of a Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. I disagree with you about that. However, I do think Rhea Ripley needs to win this matchup, because if Rhea Ripley loses, then, like I said, with Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, it completely devalues them when they do go up to the main roster. We'll just remember Rhea Ripley as the person who lost to Charlotte Flair in the biggest matchup of her life for the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. Have I liked the build for this matchup? No. I think they could have did a lot better with this build. This does need a crowd for it. NXT crowd, Charlotte Flair coming in every week with that NXT crowd invading Rhea Ripley or invading random superstars like Bianca Belair or Io Shirai, Mia Yim, it would have been fantastic. It would have been phenomenal to see that. But I think Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, it's going to be a good, solid match, and Rhea Ripley's winning it.
Eric?
As much as I am behind Rhea Ripley and how I like her character and like the fact that she can wrestle, as much as I hate to say this, it really feels like Charlotte's going to win this one, because that way she can take the NXT title to NXT. She's not going to go to Raw and SmackDown, but she's going to definitely be on NXT to keep resuming that feud with Rhea Ripley. And the fact that, in a way, it doesn't devalue the title. I don't call it the minor league, because since NXT want to call themselves as the brand, or they ain't just a minor league brand, they are the brand. Charlotte, she'll probably, in a way, to get heat from people, she'll probably say that, yeah, this is the place that I build, and this is the championship that I created, and you know what? It's back home where it belongs, because the women's division in NXT is pathetic. She'll probably say something along the lines like that, just to get some heat from that, and to make us, make our blood boil. That could happen too. So I think that Charlotte is going to win this one, as much as I want to be behind Rhea Ripley. But I think in due time, maybe in the months to come, Rhea Ripley might get her belt back. But just this night, Charlotte's winning this one. That's just my gut feeling.
Jesse?
Ooh, man. I mean, Ryan and Eric had some good points right there. I mean, look, this is Rhea Ripley's biggest title match of her career against Charlotte. And Charlotte's a veteran, however you could say. She's like a veteran.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and for Charlotte winning the title and continue that rivalry with Rhea Ripley in NXT will bolster the NXT ratings for sure. I mean, there's a lot of interesting scenarios going down there, but to be honest, I'm gonna have to agree with Eric and go with Charlotte.
Do you think it extends on NXT TV, or do you think Charlotte just keeps the NXT title in your scenario?
I mean, in my scenario, I think she keeps the title, since the whole pandemic is affecting everything, and eventually they're going to have to shut down productions, at least for a little bit, till things clear and, get over, and then resume things as soon as, things are clear. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios playing into this factor.
Interesting. The one thing about Rhea Ripley winning, I'll take it back a tiny bit of what I said, because I think when you look at this, I didn't look at this with the fact that there's no crowd. And again, I think the Rhea Ripley beating Charlotte Flair thing was supposed to be the crowd going nuts because there's somewhat of an upset, right? Or the NXT fans who are undoubtedly going to be there at WrestleMania we might have a partisan crowd, like something cool, an ECW versus WWE type thing, right? Like where you have one more hardcore fan kind of crowd compared to the more normal kids, people that are there because their parents gave them tickets, stuff like that. So I can see Charlotte Flair winning in that case. I don't think if Charlotte Flair wins, though, she keeps it. I think she loses it on like whatever NXT is doing after WrestleMania. I think NXT is going to continue a little bit because they're based generally in Tampa, but I don't see Charlotte, even if she wins, lasting more than a month with the title. We need to move on, so I'm not going to give any more opinions on that. Okay, we still have Edge versus Randy Orton, The Undertaker versus AJ Styles, and Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre to discuss. Real quickly, here's the rest of the card. We're not going to talk about this on this podcast, but we are going to we'll put it out on Twitter. All of these matches, what we expect to happen. And guys, we don't know any spoilers. We don't know anything about WrestleMania. We don't have those sources. So our predictions are authentic and random, and we don't know anything about. So we have Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. That's a payoff of a feud that's been going on for a long time. Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the WWE Women's title. Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan, Intercontinental Championship. Elias versus King Corbin. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with absolutely no build. The Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza. That was kind of created on this last week's Raw. By the way, Montez Ford with the hardest bump I have ever seen.
That man almost killed
himself.
My
damn life.
Killing on live TV right there, man.
That's killing on live TV, Eric. That's
my
television. Good Lord.
Yes, and then of course, and then we have the New Day versus the Usos versus John Morrison and the Coronavirus Miz in a triple threat ladder match, which is dope for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Whether that match is going to happen, we don't know because the Miz apparently was sick on Raw. Not going to talk about it. Want to be positive. And then as well, the last match that we won't be talking about is Bayley versus Lacey Evans versus Naomi versus who the hell cares for a fatal 5-way match for the elimination match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha Banks is also in that match. I'm just kidding. And Tamina was so.
Hey man, how long is Tamina gonna stay in the
little heel turn? You know.
How long is Tamina gonna stay in the WWE, man? How long has she been in the WWE?
I lost track.
As long as her dad's legacy is not tarnished, because her dad has some sketchy past behind him. I'll tell you that. I'm not gonna get into that.
Be positive, Nick. Let's be positive.
I apologize. Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's be positive, Nick.
Let's
move on, kids.
So we also, my bad. We also have Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. A couple great promos in that storyline as well. We will give our predictions, what we think, win, loss, draw, whatever, on Twitter. On Instagram and probably on Facebook as well. But we're going to go over these matches to finish off our WrestleMania segment of this podcast. We have about 15 minutes. So guys, kind of go over these as quick as you possibly can, but also you don't have to because we're not really on a time limit. But let's start with Undertaker versus AJ Styles Boneyard match. Who do you think wins, guys?
Taker.
You think it's Taker?
Taker.
RKJ?
Hey, what the hell is a Boneyard match?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Hey, it's a graveyard, man.
It's going to be cinematic. That's all I know.
I mean, I like AJ Styles and I love him, but
probably put in like human bones around the ring, and then you just club each other with large bones, and that's how you win, I guess.
You're gonna bone each other? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're gonna bone each other.
Maybe the live match.
Pornhub.
Yeah, I mean, you can just
Premium.
What we're gonna see is the Undertaker and AJ Styles bone each other at WrestleMania 36. It's gonna be unprecedented. RKJ, who do you think wins? You can't escape giving a prediction. I saw you sneakily try to not give a prediction there.
I'm predicting the Undertaker. Eric, you're right. I think he's gonna come back as American Badass for one match only. I feel like he's gonna ride up in his motorcycle like American Badass or Big Evil or whatnot. And I feel like he's going to win. I feel like it's actually going to be a squash. I think he's going to squash AJ Styles.
Well, I don't like that.
And
I don't like that, but
I mean, the man can barely even do any choke slams and the.
But it's cinematic, Eric. Though it's cinematic. I can see it happening. I think just burying AJ Styles is one of the stupidest ideas. But again, it's WWE, so we don't know.
John Cena 2 years ago at WrestleMania 34.
When you don't have fans, when you don't have fans, there's no feedback, so we get to do whatever the hell we want.
That's true. It's on tape. I think The Undertaker wins. No reason for AJ Styles to win. Plus, I do think this is going to be the Undertaker after this happens. This will be his last year. It will be in professional wrestling. It will be the 30th anniversary at this year's Survivor Series event. And then WrestleMania 36 will be in Los Angeles. I believe that will be the proper way to send The Undertaker off. So I do believe he wins at this WrestleMania and more than likely loses at next year's WrestleMania. So I think he gets a win here.
It's hard to say.
What did you say, RKJ?
I said The Fiend.
Ooh. Eric, what you said?
It's hard to say with Taker because a lot of fans, they always chant, one more match. Dude, that's the fans, okay? They do that, and then Taker comes back the next year. All right, so there you go. It's hard for me to believe that Taker will be sent off because fans are always going to be there like, one more match. It's true.
Yeah, so we all think Taker wins.
Styles. He's ruining his legacy by coming back time and time again. And he's going to have to keep reinventing himself to the point where there's no more things to reinvent. So this year it can work, but he does need to wrap it up next year against The Fiend and get beat.
Yeah, I agree with that. Plus, The Fiend and Undertaker have faced each other. And if The Fiend is going to keep doing this stuff at WrestleMania, that makes a hell of a lot of sense, RKJ. Okay. This next match, let's do Edge and Randy Orton because I think this outcome is somewhat predictable. This has been the best build of really anything in professional wrestling, at least in my opinion, in the last couple months. AEW, TNA, WWE, this has been awesome. It's two old school guys. The fact that Edge is even back is insane. I don't think there being no crowd will in any way affect this match. I think this will be awesome. This is the reason I even want to watch WrestleMania at all. I think Edge will get revenge on Randy Orton for what he's done to him. So I got Edge winning this match. Eric, what do you think happens in this?
After seeing just again with the the Lynch and the Baszler, how this storyline is going, it seems to me that Edge is going to come out on top because after months of Randy Orton putting Edge through hell and putting his wife through hell, it makes sense that Edge would have to win this match in order for him to sort of give himself, like, not redeem himself, but in a way make himself credible and make himself great again. And because Randy Orton, he's been in the game for quite a while. He's basically never really had any days off. He's a full-time guy. So it wouldn't damage his reputation at all for giving Edge the win in this WrestleMania. So, yeah, Edge is going to come out on top. They could probably last man standing match. That's another thing. So I could see that match getting a little bit more brutal, if you ask me. They'll probably add in blood in this one because.
I was going to ask you.
So they might add in some blood.
Kevin Owens said shit on Raw this week.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think anything's possible.
It seems to me that right now, since there's no fans, they're experimenting as much as they can, and they're going to experiment with this with Edge and Randy Orton. So that could happen. That could play out. But Edge he wins.
RKJ, what do you think? Man, I really want Edge to win this.
Ooh, yep, we do.
But I'm picking Randy Orton.
Okay. Explain yourself.
It is an annual WrestleMania tradition to have one swerve match. One swerve match where you think you know the outcome, but yet they turn it against you and they do something completely different. We've had it year after year after year, and I'm picking this matchup to be the swerve match. Everybody thinks Edge is going to return to win his first matchup back in 9 years, but Randy Orton is going to be proven to be more sinister and a little bit more experienced than Edge. I think, you know what this is going to remind me of? SummerSlam 2002 with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. This kind of reminds me of
good match. Yeah. Good.
Shawn Michaels was out for 4 years, and Triple H had an advantage in that matchup. Okay, he ended up losing, but he had an advantage. It's going to be the opposite way this time around. Randy Orton is winning this matchup because he's going to be more sinister. He's been wrestling longer than Edge. Storyline wise, you can just play that up in the match and just say he has more experience than Edge in the past 10 years, obviously, and he's going to find a way to beat Edge just barely.
Ooh, I like it. Two differentiating opinions. Jesse, top it off. What do you think happens?
I mean, Ryan and Eric bring up good points again. I mean, convincingly, I think Ryan convinced me, man. I think I'm gonna go with Randy Orton.
See, Jesse pulled a me. He waited the whole time, and then see, you guys are so good at predicting these matches that you guys can. Me and Jesse are very impressionable. We get impressioned a lot.
It can. Randy Orton can happen because like Ryan said, it can happen because Randy Orton can be more sinister. He's been wrestling a lot longer, and you need to have like an upset victory in like WrestleMania. That can happen, but I'm just going for what's going on for how this storyline is going, just how the direction is going. Yeah.
So you kind of agree with them. You think that it'll be Randy kind of just outsmarting Edge, being the more brutal, which we've seen in the past. Oh my God, is Randy brutal sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know Randy Orton sneaks up behind every other, great character. Like seeing that he's done it to Triple H, he's done it to Undertaker, he's done it to like very numerous of other wrestlers in the past, and it's not much of a surprise anymore. But still, you still want that excitement that he brings into the table, and I think Randy Orton takes this one and Ryan convinced me how he was on those old days, and the Viper is gonna come back and bite him in the ass.
I'll say this
for you. I gotta finish for you too.
Okay, can I let me say what I'm gonna say first. Yeah. I want this match to be the PG version of Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22. I want this to be the
PG match.
but it has to be. I mean, I want to see blood, but you can't go through fire, and you can't hit a woman. You can't put barbed wire around Lita's mouth. You can't do all that, but I want to see the most brutal PG match we possibly could get. That's what I want to see from this. And we know Edge and Randy can go to that place too.
As far as this PG is going to go, as far as I think, is just a middle finger. That's the furthest part of PG is going to be.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
okay. Yeah. RKJ, what's your finish to top off this segment?
You do something where Randy or where the ref has to legitimately stop the match for the first time ever, to the point where you're not afraid of Edge losing his career. You're afraid of Edge losing his life.
Oh, I like it. See,
you do something so brutal to the fact that you're saying the referee's like,
positive.
Get the rules. I'm ruling Randy Orton the winner because I'm afraid Edge might die, and I don't want somebody to die in the middle of this ring or outside the ring at WrestleMania.
Okay, so I will say this. The only reason I brought up the WrestleMania 22 match, number one, it's in my top 5. It's one of my favorite matches I've ever seen, period. Number 2, they've been mentioning that match in the promos. If you go back and watch all the promos, they've talked about how Mick Foley brought over this hardcore version of each of those. We can remember Mick Foley throwing Randy Orton into those thumbtacks. He did a similar thing to Edge, although Edge put him through a flaming table. And got secondary burns all over himself in the process. I think we could see a PG version of that, and maybe they go a little above and beyond, and we have another flaming table moment. It hasn't been done in a long time, but I think if they're really going to make a mark, and if this is the main event of WrestleMania, of the whole thing, they should do something like that. I think it should be something crazy.
I don't consider the main event, but I do call it maybe the show stealer. I do call it like the match of the night. You're always going to have like a WrestleMania show where you expect the main event to be like the showstopper or like the fight of the night, but it's not going to be the main event. It's always going to be like somewhere in the middle or like third to last match card. So that can happen with Edge and Randy Orton.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. All right, moving on. Main event. We perceive to be at least possibly one of the main events. I personally think it will be either Edge or Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar in the final main event match of WrestleMania after Goldberg and Roman Reigns wasn't going to happen. I do believe one of these two matches is going to be the main event. Guys, does Drew get his moment, or do they hold it off for another time?
I think they hold it off for another time right now, especially with this, like we said before, this pandemic, man. It ain't doing anybody at a solid right now as of late. And I think they got to push it off for at least a little longer. He'll get his moment for sure, but right now is not the time.
RKJ?
This is a tough one.
It's tough. I agree.
It's tough because I love Drew McIntyre lately. Although I thought he got a little corny lately before the pandemic happened with the whole 1, 2, 3 Claymore thing. But that promo package he did for BT Sports or whatnot, where he's in Scotland and he's training for Brock Lesnar, it was fantastic. But I think I agree with you, Jesse. I think now's not the time to give it to Drew McIntyre. I think if we had fans and a full crowd where he could celebrate, that'd be one thing. But he's not going to get that at Performance Center. And I think you want to have some certainty going into, the situation afterwards. Now, obviously, it's going to also depend on Brock Lesnar's situation and his contract. I've heard rumors that his contract is coming up soon. I don't know if he's signed or re-signed. I don't know if he's interested in going back to UFC or if he wants to re-sign with WWE, if he just wants to go be in, Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan, yep.
Yeah.
He closed the door of the UFC, though. He closed the door behind that.
Yeah.
Go back to UFC.
So I think, though, that it would be a good idea to have Drew McIntyre fail in his first moment. Because when he gets the opportunity to have that championship match for the first show back, after the lockdown, after this virus pandemic is over, again with fans, I think he's going to win it. I think that will create an emotional moment, a comeback story for everyone involved. So Drew McIntyre, I'm sorry, brother, but I'm picking you to lose this one. Okay, I think it just makes sense to do this. It doesn't make sense to give him the title when there's nobody in there to celebrate with him.
Yeah. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way in hell that Drew McIntyre can enjoy getting the title without fans, because the Royal Rumble was definitely his moment. When he eliminated Roman Reigns, and I was behind him, I remember I got off my seat when I just wanted Drew McIntyre to eliminate him, because he was like really like our last hope. And when he eliminated him, everybody, like the entire arena,
was dope.
shook.
Yeah,
that was a great night. And man, just seeing that moment, it just definitely sends chills. And Drew McIntyre definitely got his moment. After 10 years, after him going through all the obstacles and him going through all this stuff getting fired, going back to the Indies and then coming back. It's a great story. Apparently, during this unprecedented time that we're living, there's no fans. You can't enjoy it with other fans. I love Drew. I'm totally behind him. But if I was him, I definitely want to celebrate it with people. I really want to celebrate. The only thing he can do is probably bring his family into the crowd and probably celebrate with them, and he can win the title. That can happen,
brother.
I mean, but still.
Yeah.
With that being said, I picked Brock to win this one. I don't see Brock going back to UFC at all, because he closed the door on that one. I've been seeing video footage of him training wrestlers over in Minnesota, some of the college wrestlers over there. So I've been seeing that because he's doing that back and forth with pro wrestling and also coaching people over in Minnesota. So that's probably the only thing I can say. Is just Brock is going to win this one. Drew will get his moment. He will get his moment, just not that night, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with all you guys. I don't. It's for Drew McIntyre's sake. Of course, I want Drew McIntyre to win as the face against Brock Lesnar. Anytime you can take the title off of Brock Lesnar, that's probably the better idea, except for this moment. And I think Paul Heyman, in his promo on Raw, gave away what's going to happen. And it's that the Claymore kick will not be enough to beat Brock Lesnar. Come down the line, maybe 2, 3, 4 Claymore kicks might be enough. But I think Paul Heyman saying that gave away that Brock Lesnar will not lose at WrestleMania, and it's the way of later on Drew McIntyre doing more and winning the second match whenever it happens, hopefully at SummerSlam with a crowd. Excuse me.
You got the phone?
Yeah, there's a little timer on the podcast, my bad. But regardless of that, I think that Paul Heyman gave away the finish, and I think it's going to be one Claymore, Brock Lesnar kicks out, and one F5, Drew McIntyre doesn't kick out. And I think that's how it's gonna. I think that's gonna how it's gonna finish. It's gonna be a relatively shorter match. All right, it's WrestleMania. Again, we'll put all of these results as the WrestleMania cards come out and per day. So let's say Saturday they'll likely have 8 matches. We'll put those 8 matches, and then the next day we'll do that. So you'll see all of them. Point, we don't really need you to watch the video anymore because there was most of the results, at least one half of the results will happen already. So, but all right, real quickly to end off the podcast, AEW announced that they are doing the TNT Championship Tournament starting on the April 8th episode of AEW Dynamite, and that this title tournament will culminate at Double or Nothing on May 23rd. The only problem is essentially every single other event in the United States in April and May has been postponed or canceled. So guys, what does AEW know? Or what the hell are they doing?
To be honest, dude, I'm a little I can't even explain. I don't have the proper words for it right now, but I'm just gonna say this: like, hey, this thing is surprising to me. But the tournament, it's a great setup, a great format.
Yep.
They're excited for a new title. You know, AEW's brand new ideas, fresh ideas to excite the fans at their homes, even though if they're not at the stadium or at the arenas. You know, they're still gonna be bringing out that fresh new excitement, fresh new faces possibly, or, you know, similar faces that we've seen in the past, and those guys are going to be competing for the TNT title.
Eric, what do you think?
Oh, man. Since they're still promoting Double or Nothing, and I really think that they're still going to go forward with Double or Nothing, but without fans. That's just my expectation, as much as we hate it. But then again, everybody's on board. They're all going to tell you first time, right? Because they all feel that the same way for other events too. Same for hockey, same for basketball, baseball, you name it. So the same thing applies to pro wrestling and mixed martial arts and boxing too. So with the tournament, it's a TV title, obviously, which is something pretty fresh.
But it's not, because if it's being put on Double or Nothing, it's not a TV title. That's the thing. It's named after the channel, but a TV title is only defended on television. Right. So Jesse, I guess, is ran out of time here or lost his connection. So hopefully he comes back.
He's still upset he had to leave.
If not, we thank Jesse for being on the podcast. That was relatively.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Nacho Libre.
Jesse, we'll see you later, man. If you're watching the end of this, well, see you, man. Okay, but Eric, you were saying, what's that? What you saying? But yeah, so it's not a TV title, because the TV title is defended only on television. So the fact that's why I'm kind of confused too, is that it's the TNT Championship, but it's gonna be defended on BR Live pay-per-view.
Okay, so
it's more gonna be a mid-card title.
With the tournament, nonetheless, it is interesting. It does get me a little bit excited for Dynamite, at least for Wednesdays now, because really for Wednesdays there's really nothing else going on Wednesdays now. So that should get me excited. It is interesting, and I will take Jesse's point. He did bring up a pretty good point about it should definitely bring out some new faces and some fresh ideas, and hopefully this should actually help out some of the mid-card wrestlers in order for them to build themselves over this tournament. So that could be a good factor right there. So yeah. Don't really know much. So yeah.
What do you think about this decision?
So real quickly, BR Live is owned by Warner Media. owned by TNT. So technically, they're all in the same.
But it's not a television channel. Though.
They're under the same banner. They're under the
I
same.
get it.
Okay. I think this is a terrible idea. I don't agree with it whatsoever. And the reason why is because you might not have a proper payoff. I believe this tournament deserves fans. If I'm criticizing the WWE in the interest of fairness, because people are going to say, oh, well, RKJ Man's AEW lover. You know, they're going to say I'm so pro AEW and anti WWE. I need to be fair with this situation.
It sounds like what an AEW homer would say. That's what it sounds like.
I need to be fair. Shut up. I need to be fair with this situation. I need to say AEW shouldn't have this tournament until we get it in front of fans. Just like Blood and Guts is not going to happen with fans. I don't understand why we decided to have a tournament without fans. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense. And we might not get the payoff that we want because of this pandemic. I just disagree with it. I like having a mid-card title. I've got a person right now in the back of my head who I think should win it. I have a person right now, Darby Allin. That dude is fantastic. The crowd absolutely loves him. Jim Ross has compared him to a Jeff Hardy. My God, imagine if in a year or so, when Jeff Hardy's contract is up with the WWE, he comes over to AEW with his brother and goes up against Darby Allin. That would be phenomenal.
There it goes, Jesse.
Yeah, back.
He's back. He's blacker than ever.
I never saw somebody
on the light on, Jesse.
Blacker than me, but Jesse has done it. Jesse has done it.
My battery died.
You gotta turn the light on though. We can't even see you.
I let my brother borrow my laptop. Was this better?
Just have something.
Try to finish it for his arm's sake. We'll try to finish this podcast as best we can. I think this is a really weird decision. Knowing that that the chances of Double or Nothing getting canceled is likely. Eric, unless they're running an empty arena show, I think this is a bad idea, and I agree with RKJ. I do think that this is kind of a waste of this match, or you just pay it off on Dynamite, right? And you move Double or Nothing into July or August, whenever this stuff is done, and you just, that's what you do, or you move it to All Out, for example. I do think wrestling's going to at some point go on hiatus, right? Double or Nothing doesn't have any booked shows in places until July. I don't know what they're going to do in between then. I can't imagine people clamoring for 10 more weeks of shows without fans, especially since it got worse from 2 weeks ago's Wednesday to last Wednesday. I'm excited to see what they do today, if you're watching today, or what they did yesterday. But I do think it's a very weird decision. And for us, we are actually attending Double or Nothing. It's exciting, but also very strange. So we'll leave it at that.
Also to note real quick, Nick, they're moving locations because of what's going on. Apparently, Daly's Place, I read, is going to have drive-through testing. So they're going to move it in order for fans not to try to interact, apparently. Yeah. So they're going to be moved to an undisclosed location. So that's going to play impact, too, as well. We don't know what location they're going to be filming at for the next couple of weeks.
The only thing
Steve says, send me location.
Do a work from home kind of match. Just have like Darby Allin versus maybe Cody in like an office, or like
like those damn idiots on social media you keep sending me, Eric.
Yeah, that's another one.
You can't do that. You can't go into restaurants.
Yeah, restaurants, at Walmart, Popeyes, McDonald's, you name it, right?
Walmart.
Nissan.
Yeah.
Did you say Nissan?
They were at a Nissan. Those idiots were at a Nissan car dealership.
Oh, dealership. Yeah, they were. Yeah, those guys. They had a wrestling match. They had a table, and one of the guys, they did like one of like those flying attacks, and one of them actually jumped on top of the Nissan Altima sign and then crashed into a table.
Just ridiculous.
Eric tempted me to say that word. I promise I would never say that word on this podcast. You're tempting me.
What word is that again?
You're tempting me.
I never told you to say it. Okay, you did that on your own.
It's time to end the podcast. It's time to end the podcast. We need to end before Ryan says something terrible. All right, so we have WrestleMania this weekend, 2 nights. We'll see how the hell it happens. We'll see what happens with the TNT Championship, and We'll be back next week with likely a UFC show and a WrestleMania recap. For now, though, RKJ Man, take it away.
Hey, man, like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.
It's the Sauce, Alex Zane, and you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
But raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.
That's right. That's right.